we are going to look into preamble of the constitution. So what is preamble of the constitution? Actually, the preamble means philosophy of the constitution, preface of constitution. It can say what was going inside the minds of the creators of the constitution. Goals and ideals were mentioned in the preamble, and it is the key to open the minds of the makers, which means it can say what was going on the minds of the creators. So we can find what was the philosophy on what was mind of the creators. They were created while they were creating the constitution. Let us look into deep into the preamble. What was our objective? Initially, preamble. What is preamble? Preamble acts as a brief introductory statement that identifies the Constitution fundamental purpose of underlying philosophy, which says the fundamental purpose and underlying philosophy. A- Indian Constitution was origin of so many constitutions. It referred so many constitutions, and the preamble elaborates on people who gave themselves to this constitution and their objectives and the state intended to create this constitution. Initially, the constitution assembly it came into force in last thing it was added to the constitution was the preamble. It came into force by 1950 26 Jan, while our Republic of Nations in the Constitution Assembly do they were adopted by saying that do hereby adopt, enact, and give to our themselves a constitution, which means we constitution which has a nature and philosophy. Those were mentioned in the preamble so that we could understand what was the mindset of the people who made the constitution while making it, what was the intention on their minds to make this constitution. We could understand in preface itself. So, what preface says? We have preface says it has a nature. Constitution has a nature. What are the natural characteristics? The preamble promises that Constitution will be giving to their people justice, liberty, and equality, and fraternity to every individual ensuring the basic tenets of the democracy, which means we delve into the topics, those topics in detail. Let us see what are the nature, what are the promises that gave by our constitution makers. Justice. Initially, social justice. What is a social justice? A comprehensive form to remove social imbalance from the law, to harmonizing our Indian people. It denotes that equal treatment for all the citizens, equal treatment to the equals, which means for the unequals to make them to push up, they have the law of exceptions also, but treating equals in equals, it denotes that equal treatment to all the citizens. It says the justice word says political justice also, which means the absence of any arbitrary distinction between man to man in political sphere, which means a politician should be removed from the concerned ministers. For example, if a minister makes any uh, crime or some negligence, he when he is on the date of the conviction itself, the minister should be uh, removed from the post. This was the political justice given to the people of India through the constitution. Economic justice. What is economic justice? The elimination of inequalities in wealth, income, and property should be removed, which means we should not look at the property, income of the people to decide their quality, which means wealth and income property are not the parameters to look into the person. Everyone are equal. This justice, these words, no, these words were borrowed from Russian revolution. Russian revolution. Please be noted. And objectives. These objectives were borrowed from French revolutions. These liberty, equality, fraternity. Those things were borrowed from French revolutions. Okay. And liberty. What do you mean by liberty? Liberty means freedom of thoughts, expression, belief, and faith and worship. It means a lot. Each and every word means a lot. What do you mean by liberty? Freedom of thoughts, free to think anything, freedom of expression, free to express anything, freedom of belief, free to believe in any god, anything, free to faith, freedom to faith and worship, freedom to faith and worship in any religion, in or not to not to paying faith to anything. And let us next we can look at equality. What do you mean by equality? Banishment of inequality, banishment of inequality, which means we should not allow to mm, pay the inequality in our constitution, means in our India everyone are equal. Next, fraternity. What is fraternity? What do you mean by fraternity? A feeling that we are all children of same soil. We are all children of the same soil, the same motherland. That is India. We are children of same motherland. That is India. The feeling that is known as fraternity. The dignity of an individual, with which means a fraternity cannot be achieved unless the dignity of each of its member is maintained. That is main thing. That's why they included in preamble. And then we look into the historical backgrounds. The preamble where as I said, the thought process were brought from so many constitutions. The thought process behind the preamble was the preamble took inspiration from American and French Revolution constitutions and incorporated the country fundamental and ideal values. Initially, the development of the constitution took 2 years, 11 months, and 18 days to complete it. Can you imagine what? 2 years, 11 months, and 18 days to complete a single constitution, that is, Indian constitution, drafting process itself. The process was conducted, it was Narasimha Rao, the then Prime Minister, who introduced 42nd Amendment Act. Initially, socialistic secular integrity were not the part of a preamble initially. While in the period of Narasimha Rao, he introduced the socialist secularity and integrity into the preamble. On the 42nd Amendment, through the 42nd Amendment Act, they introduced a socialist, secular and integrity into the preamble. Now we see the silent features. Actually, it was five silent features. Kindly note it. Initial one is sovereign. What do you mean by sovereign? Let's make it simple. It can make and unmake, which means India, a country, it can make and unmake any decisions with respect to itself, which means it do without any other interference from any other country. It can make its own constitution or unmake any decisions regarding constitution and other. So that means sovereign without any interference on or support of any other country. It can make its own decision. It means constitution. It's a nature. It's a nature of constitution. Nature of India. Democratic. What do you mean by democratic? By the word itself, everyone can or know what is mean by democratic. For the popular word, by the people, from the people, for the people, by the people, which means it's a people rule. The constitution ensures the creation and existence of the government, existence of a government at the will of the people. How the constitution says that creation of a creation and the existence of the government at the will of the people through the elections. The constitution ensures the creation and existence of the government. Only through the election representatives, the government can be made in central or state, created. So what do you mean by republic? Republic, no. Republic, the head of the state, means the republic. Kindly note it, please. They are not mentioned in it. What do you mean by republic? The head of the state, which means it is elected, which will not be elected, means, for example, not being a republic, like monarchy, the king and queens who ancestors initially will be ruled, and then the child or son, daughter-in-law, daughter, they will be ruling again, and the hereditary ruling. That was monarchy. That republic is opposite to this. The head of the state is elected and it's not hereditary monarchy. The head of the state will be elected. For example, all the government office is open to all the sections of the our country. Not a single person plays a major role in our government. All government offices open to all sections of our country. Vesting of political sovereignty in the people, not in the single individual like a king or queen. Vesting of political sovereignty in people's hand. If you don't uh, understand or like the ruling of the current government, you can throw out them by not electing them. That is the power. That is a sovereignty under the people and on the hands of the people. Socialistic. Socialistic. These are the characteristics came after the um, 42nd Amendment Act. Socialistic. What is meant by socialistic? It is basically a Marxist ideology. It indicates that it incorporates of philosophy of socialism, which aims to elimination of inequality in income and status and standards of life. Which means um, we should, as Indian, we should eliminate inequalities in income, status, and standards, so that everyone could stand in great positions, not not a single person or a minor persons becomes rich and rich, and major person becomes low, poor and poor. Everyone should be given a chance to rise and shine. And secular, what do you mean by secular? Secular, the matters related to any religion should be stay apart from the actions of the government, which means you should not take religious as part of the government. The should be religion should be apart from the government actions. What are the so that that is called secular functions. State protects all the religions equally, does none upload any religion as the state religion, which means no religion is a state religion. It protects all the religions, all the minor and major religions. There is no difference between them. And then, as we discussed before, we look into the justice and liberty. Significance and importance. Symbol of democracy. Symbol of what is symbol of democracy? For Indians, the constitution, its preambles are the symbol of democracy and reminder of India's fight to independence. It remembers India's fight to independence. Legal validity. Courts, if anything goes not going well, or not goes on based on the constitution, so there is one authority that questions those laws. They are legal. Well, the courts they question, they strike out the law which is unconstitutional. Courts, both high and low, Supreme Courts and High Courts, have the recognized the preamble's importance in interpreting the Constitution when solving disputes. Even in some judiciary problems, in some judgments, they included that basic structure in the preamble, and they have explained that these are mentioned in the preamble in some judgment also. Inspiration from Mahatma Gandhi. The ideals of peace, non-violence, and freedom fighter Mahatma Gandhi is inspired the preamble drafting. And then we are going to look into influence of the constitution. We saw that the nature and objective and all. Likewise, the principle of nature of justice. The preamble says commitment to the social, economic, and the political equality has led to the provision of the principles nature of the justice in the constitution's legal system. It says its nature of the justice. Directive principle of the state policy. Preamble highlights the importance of social and inequality, social economic equality, leading to inclusion of directive principles of state policy, so that it highlights the importance of social and economic equality in directive principle itself. In state policy, in constitution itself, they have mentioned that maintain the social and economic policies, to create the policies on social, to enrich the social and economic equality, to make the policies. Parliamentary form of the government. India is a parliamentary form of the government. Preamble declares India as a sovereign, socialistic, secular, democratic, and republic, leading India to the parliamentary form of government. That means we choose the representatives. Those representative makes law. They make law for the people. They This is a means of a parliamentary government, parliamentary form of the government. So we can see that parliament preamble means preamble to the Indian constitution plays a main role in some judiciary activities. In brief introductory, we can see that the statement identifies Constitution's fundamental purpose, underlying philosophy. What are the philosophy of the Constitution? Those mentioned in the preamble. Those things we saw in preamble. I think you could understand anything. Uh, so if you have any doubt, please post the comment. So I post videos on it. Thank you.